Hey everyone, let's have a Friday Reads today, because I'm in the middle of a physical book and an audiobook, but nothing is finished, so I don't have a review. And I want to talk about these two. The physical book I'm reading is The Black Lung Captain. This is the second book in the Cathy J series by Chris Wooding. And I looked up today when I read Retribution Falls, the first one. It was in 2014, so it's been 5 years. I've been meaning to continue the series like I mean to continue all series. But I don't. And then I forget about everything. For some reason, I always think this is a space adventure, but it's not really. It's an airship adventure with pirates, but they're not in space. They're on a planet. Go figure. My brain. Anyways, we have this crew of rogue characters who are introduced in the first book, and you get to know them, and there are mysteries about their characters, and each has something to deal with in their past, and I'm trying to get back into the characters. This is always the bad thing about leaving series off for so long, that you forget all the details about the people you're reading about. And yeah, I remembered that Darian Frey, the captain, is a roguish character who really plays with women and is a little bit selfish, but very charming while he does that. I don't know, maybe it's just me. And we start off with this book and you get reminded of all the characters, all their things, and it's really fun. But then there are a few things where I'm not really sure if I like it and where it's going. Or rather, I'm curious where it's going. So this book starts off with failing theft. The Cathy J, they're pirates most of the time. They can get hired for things, but they also, well, you gotta make a living, right? But they're not very good at it. So after this failed attempt at theft, they get hired for an expedition to find a ship somewhere, and it's promised to be an old ancient ship of something, which of course it isn't, and drama happens and things like that. But what really got me there is that there is this one woman from the captain's past that appears in the first book, who appears here again, and she ignores him. Which is her right. He really didn't treat her nice. But then we see him being totally annoyed that she didn't even look at him, that he doesn't understand why she is behaving like that, and how she could do that to him, how she could rob him again, yada, yada, yada. And then he makes a very, very stupid decision for his crew and the whole adventure to follow or agree to catch her and follow her and get that thing that she stole back for revenge. And I'm just like, no, you treated her bad. It's her right to ignore you. And he really feels hurt, and in his manlyhood, he thinks he doesn't deserve that. Not sure where that goes, I'm saying. Then there is this other character who was sometime in the past, when he was 18, decided to leave the love of his life to become a rich hero. And that's been 5 years. And now she writes him a letter that she's going to get married. And he's devastated, can't believe how she could do that, despite the fact that he's been cheating on her all those 5 years. He's just, but she loves me. Why? And I'm just like, you left her 5 years. So I don't know where that story goes. So it's a little bit, you know what I mean? It's what's wrong with these guys? And I do like the writing. I do like the characters. The story is a little bit stale right now. I'm 160 pages in. It's rather big. And I don't really know how this is going. The audiobook I'm listening to is completely different, because I'm listening to Dead Souls by Nikolai Gogol. It's a Russian classic, part of my Russian literature project, and I didn't know what to expect. I've actually never really paid attention to this book. I may have heard about it, but not really actively. And I started it 3 times, but couldn't really get into it for a while, so then put it aside and starting it again. I'm 5 hours in now, and it's fun. There's this character who comes into a town, village somewhere, and immediately starts asking people who they are, what kind of land they have, if they own peasants and things. And as the story progresses, we find out that he's going to all these landowners and wants to buy the people that have died since the last census that they have to pay taxes for, but that are dead. So he wants to buy the dead souls, basically. And I don't really know what he wants to do with them yet, but the writing is rather fun. The author is constantly inserting himself in the story, saying how he writes things, what he does, and backing away from things. Also, the characterization and criticism on people and peoples. It's interesting how he characterizes the Russian and also the German and the French and the upper class and high society. And I really enjoy it. It's just very, very interesting. I've said interesting way too much today. Anyways, this is what I'm reading this weekend. What are you reading this weekend? Let's talk in comments about books we're reading. Thank you for watching. Oh, and tell me if you've read any of the books I talked about. Bye-bye.